Tyler.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Katchmar, the Jersey Shore #1 lifeguard-themed video podcast.
Watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook Live. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever streaming service you prefer.
If you would like to contact us, send an email to drkatchmar@icloud.com. Follow us on Instagram at lg.association.
All right, let's get started.
Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Katchmar. Welcome to Lifeguards Off Duty. Thank you for tuning in. We're on Facebook right now and YouTube Live. Today's date is January the 11th, the year of our Lord, 2022. And thank you for tuning in. Remind you guys, subscribe, hit the bell, and even comment. And you guys can comment right now. So we have our usual suspects today. We have Sean.
Hello.
Hey, Sean, how you doing? I like that shirt. What's it say? Margaritaville.
Margaritaville.
That's an old man shirt. What are you
Jimmy
wearing
Buffett.
that? Did you get, what do you wear? That's an old man shirt.
You don't like Jimmy Buffett?
I love Jimmy Buffett,
you
but
go.
you're, I don't know. I don't know if you could, I thought you can't wear one of them unless you're over like 45.
I think it was over 50.
I think no. Isn't it
No,
40?
Jimmy
Yeah.
Buffett
I have a whole
is
bunch of
time.
them.
Yeah.
I qualify.
So we have Tyler,
Jimmy Buffett is timeless.
and we have our special guest today, Dr. D, Dr. Billy. Billy.
Hello, Dr. Bill Ditchkus. How are you? Lifeguard off duty?
Yes. Nice to
It's a
have you here,
catchy
Billy.
name, right?
Yeah.
Catchy name.
Yeah,
Catchy name.
Yeah.
So Billy has worked on the beach patrol. He'll tell us what years you started.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate Billy. He's still working. He's not a former lifeguard. He's still lifeguarding.
He's
Still swimming. He's
Yeah.
current. He's current. And
I'll be back on duty in May. Yes.
Right. He's off duty right now, but he'll be on duty in how many more months? Let's see. It's January, February, March, April, May.
5
About
months.
4 or 5
It-
months.
It
Yeah.
comes
Probably-
so
no, less
fast.
than
It
that.
really does.
So Billy, how about you, give us when you started working and
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
so-
It started back in 1966. I'm trying to think. John Boyd was the captain. Junie Boyd was a lieutenant, and Joe Boyd was one of the lieutenants. He worked up on the north end. Junie and John in south end. Beach was totally different than it is now. I could go back and tell you if
Well,
you want.
let me ask you, how old were you? How old were you when you first started and how'd you get into lifeguarding?
Well,
So how old were you and then how'd you
Actually, I
get?
started a year or two before down at Seaside Park. I was 18 then, and then
Oh, you started.
Really?
So why is this? I didn't know
well,
that.
then because
What?
it was money. I mean, I think they were paying $8 a day back then.
$8 a day.
Yeah, no,
I
That's a
started-
coffee.
No.
That's a coffee at Starbucks.
that's
I
not
know.
even a coffee. That's coffee without cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Seaside Heights was looking for a couple of lifeguards, so I took it with a friend of mine, Steve Harris, who was used to be a police officer in Seaside. He was police chief out in Redmond, Washington.
Oh,
Because
wow.
they paid Seaside Heights paid $15 a day, and that,
From 8 to 15.
yeah, that's a big jump.
Woo.
But it was very hard to get on. You know?
Oh, okay.
So, I
So
mean-
it was the A team. It was the eight,
yeah,
it's
you
the
know
Yankees.
exactly. If you
So-
showed up for the lifeguard test, there were 20,
Yeah.
25, 30
Yeah.
guys, and maybe there were only 1 or 2 or 3 openings. So
Yeah, that's how it was
What-
when I took it.
Yeah.
What did the hiring process look like back then?
pretty much it was ocean swim. It wasn't
Okay.
like it was now. They waited. It was the first Saturday in June, regardless of surf, water temperature, whatever. And
Right. That's when I took mine. Yeah.
right, yeah,
First Friday. Yeah.
first Saturday in the morning at 10
Saturday, yeah.
o'clock. You showed
Oof.
up.
Why did you sign up for Park or
Well,
Heights?
that's why I just
Why'd you do it?
again. I had a buddy of mine that lived down there, Steve Harris, and we decided we were going to work down. That's where they had a couple of openings. So we didn't think
No,
about
but
Wow.
it.
you wanted to be a lifeguard? What happened?
It was a summer job. I
Okay.
never really wanted to be. It's one of those deals like everybody else. You either go into it not knowing what you're getting yourself into, and you either love it or you hate it. We have guys on our beach. They work a year or two. You never see them again. We have guys that are 10, 12, 15, 20 years. I've been there 56 years. Mike, how many years you have on?
I started 77. What's that?
Oh, God.
30,
yeah,
40.
30, 40 years. I mean, you either, like I said, you either like it or you don't like it. And I was fortunate enough that
I think you liked it.
So I want to ask Billy this. So Billy, so you went to Seaside Heights and so you swam in the cold ocean. You
Yeah.
got the job. But before I want to just say this because it's really interesting. And we do not allow or encourage or, hazing. No way, no how. I mean, but back in the days,
Back in those days,
and,
yes.
and I just tell what, because I think we should hear it. What was the initiation? You're going to hear this guy.
Very interested.
Tell
in
him
that.
what the initiation was.
A little bit of background about
Yeah,
the town. There were a lot of little tiny, little bars in town. Okay. And one of the bars that was affiliated with one of the lifeguards was the Diver's Bell. So if you made the test and you started, you would go down there on Friday night or a Saturday night. If you were a rookie first year, they'd grab you and they'd all, hold you over the pool table, and then they'd shave your head.
Right. Well, what else did they do?
Well, they shaved your, I don't want to, I'm on.
Yeah. So I'll throw it out there because it's my show. I can say.
And then they spray painted you with orange paint down
Yeah,
No
down in
way.
down in the other head.
down in the genitals.
And then they
Absolutely.
threw you out, and then
Yeah.
they threw you out on the boardwalk
What
or
are,
wherever.
what are they going to tar and feather you next?
Well, no, that wouldn't fly in 2022, obviously, but
Listen,
back then that
they-
was what
they-
it was.
And
And if you didn't do it, you were gone.
how
Yeah.
did you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I took it in the spirit of
It's different days, Tyler.
it-
It's different days back
it's
then.
not
Yeah, I know it's different days. I'm just
You were actually
I mean, everybody that worked there went through that. You
Yeah.
follow me? I mean, you can call it hazing or whatever it was. I guess it was just another part to see if you had enough chutzpah to,
a
take
rite
it
of
and,
passage.
yeah, exactly. Sure.
Uh-huh.
That's
we're
what-
nobody's condoning it, but we're just telling you this is what history was.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's good or bad. And but there was when I got in there, 40 years ago, it was they stopped doing that. It was even then back in 30, 40 years ago, they realized it was a little too much.
Well, they had
There was-
some issues with a
Yeah.
kid they did it to. I think his father was an attorney, and they were going to make a stink about it, and that was
As
it,
at the end of
you know,
that.
now-
And for
But they used to do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Then they would dress you up in garbage bags. The people they'd take you to the bar, then you'd walk down the center of the boardwalk all banged up in a garbage bag, And then one year they took all of them and gave them a watermelon and dropped them off.
yeah, that
out
was my year.
South Central, and you had to get back
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Seaside
yeah.
with the watermelon
Yeah.
without breaking
So
it.
you had it. They gave you, it's like they gave you a shot. They had a glass full of whiskey, a glass full of beer, and a glass full of, I don't know, wine. You had to down it. Stupid. And then, because most of us, at that age, you're like, yeah, okay. And then they gave us watermelons. They took us out in the middle of the woods and dropped us off. We had our clothes on. We had to get back. And I remember what was really great is that you had to have the watermelon intact, right? That was the whole
Couldn't
idea.
break the watermelon.
And everybody brought the watermelon back. And this one kid, his name was Pete. I don't want to say his last name. And his mother dries him up. And he's late, and he comes in, and we're all waiting, and he's late already. So it's where's the watermelon? He had it in a plastic bag. It was clear. You could see through it. It was all busted up. But he still had it. But I could tell you, and I don't want to grab the show, but we had another guy, Pete, and so Pete was a new guard, and so they had a hazing where you would drink. The initiation would you get everybody drunk. We drink until they couldn't drink anymore. Well, this new guy, Pete, he outdrank them all, and Pete's still like that. I mean, this guy. I mean, so all the senior guys. Oh, we're gonna drink this guy on the table. And then, laughing, and nobody was standing except Pete. Pete's like, well, this is the initiation. I'm going to go out and get a couple drinks. So go ahead. So you start.
I'll give you a little bit of background if you want about the
Yep.
beach. When I started,
Oh,
there were 5 lifeguard stands on the south end. That's between there was a Funtown Pier then and the Casino Pier. And then there were
Right.
four lifeguard stands on the north end. And north end was pretty much sand dunes and a couple of little houses. And there were 2 bay beaches, one down on the existing one that is now in Kearney and one on DuPont Avenue that we don't use anymore. We had wooden lifeguard boats. There were one for every stand. And they were incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
We rolled them down on wooden rollers, believe it or not,
Mm.
until about, I guess it was 1969 or 1970, we got the first fiberglass Van Dyne on the whole East Coast. So we were Junie Boyd, who was incredibly good in the lifeguard boat. He had that boat down in front of Sumner Avenue. He used it. And again, the Casino Pier was out in the water, it existed until Superstorm Sandy when the Jetstar fell down, but that used to stick out in the water a couple 100 feet. So
Billy, let me ask you this: when you Were the cans plastic or what were they back when you
The
started?
loose cans
The
were
rescue
The
cans.
loose cans were fiberglass. Okay.
Mm.
They were probably maybe 10 inches and maybe 12 inches in diameter with a rope around the side. And the rope cans were metal cans with
Metal cans.
metal cans with little eyes on them and ropes through them. The bad thing about both of them wasn't so much going out, but coming back into the surf. You know, if you got hit in the head with one of those fiberglass cans or one of those metal cans, I mean, you could. You could
When did they change them, Billy? Do you remember what year? Like when when I first started, I don't remember any of those cans. There was some still styrofoam ones, but
I think one of the Al Airs. I think
no,
wasn't it? Was before that or after?
No.
That?
I started in '77. I don't remember them being there. It was all we had the red plastic cans. I don't remember them. You know, I don't. I mean, maybe they were there, but I don't.
Well, if we had them, we didn't have a whole lot of them like we have now.
No.
You know, so I mean, the whole beach has
Wow.
changed. There used to be a 4x4 behind each lifeguard stand that had a telephone line to the pier, and we had regular telephones.
Yeah.
And it was really a bit
And
of a bitch.
There was an operator, right?
No.
Well, it all went through the lifeguard headquarters. The cap. In other words, if someone called you, they could listen to your phone call.
Didn't you guys used to play pranks with those
Yeah.
somehow?
Well, we looked for a kid that didn't exist, you know, when they had the PA system, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But you just had to be careful because if someone called you,
Yeah.
you know, you were online with everybody. And when you had to move you know, if with the tide and the sand, if you had to move the stand and the box that had the phone in, I mean, it was a 6-foot hole you had to dig. It was nobody moved their stance.
No.
You could
No.
be 35, 40 feet away from the berm and down into the ocean, but it was too much work.
Yeah. So what Billy's saying is, you know, you at the beginning of the summer, you would dig a hole with a pole, and there was a box, and in the box you'd actually have a regular phone. It would sit in the box, and there was a wire. And we did a lot of different things. Some years you dug the wire in the ground, but when the machine came to dig up the beach, you know, when they started doing that, we started running it on across the beach, and we put another pole in the middle of the beach so that the wire would go across. And so you'd have this wire going from the boardwalk to every still lifeguard stand, and it would stay up all night. In fact, we had when they used to have the races where the boats would come through and they would have helicopters following them. Excuse me. They one had a emergency land because of a thunderstorm, and he took my wires right out. And you know, so
you know, a lot of us used to plug in an electrical cord
and
underneath the boardwalk and run it along the top of the wire and down into the lifeguard sandbox so we could keep a radio on. Because back in those days, you know, everything was battery operated, and it was, you know, it was just
batteries didn't last that long.
They didn't long, and then most guys had radios, you know, that were like 2 feet wide. So you know, every day you were buying batteries. So we fixed that.
So Billy, I kind of remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like if I remember, everybody in the beach patrol those days, we all wore Ray-Ban, nothing else. And we all had the radio station. We used to listen to like one radio station. Like what was it?
Oh, there
like,
was two.
What was the ones we used to listen to? And we all knew the same song going on at the same time.
WNEW FM out of New York, and WMMR 93.3, I think, was one out of Philly. They were sister stations, you know. But just to talk about like your old uniform up there. When I first started, they weren't even like a cotton. They were
right there. You can see above showing.
They were wool, and you had that shirt that went underneath your crotch and buttoned up, you know. So I mean, if you were on a bad rescue, you were wet all day. You had a ton of sand down there, you know. It was, but that was the uniform.
I bet you really appreciate the new trunks we have.
Oh yeah, the stuff now is just incredible. I mean, you know, you're dry in a half hour. You know, 20.
But we also had back. I don't know if you have any pictures of it. I got to get some of them. But we also. Back in those shorts there, they were short. I got a picture where, like, you know, the sideburns, you know, the shorts.
Yeah, it looked like the old NBA uniforms. They were, you know, it's.
That was. Yeah,
it really was quite different back then, you know. And then the town was little more of a honky tonk town, you know. Like I said, there was a million little bars, and
wanna show a couple of these pictures?
Yeah, let's show. Since
we're talking about the town.
Let's show. How about you show first of all the old headquarters, which I think is a really good. We'll show that first. This is our old headquarters. You
can see it clear on the screen up here.
Yeah, so we were one of the first ones to have a jet ski, and that I don't know what year that pictures has to be in the early '90s. And yeah, that was it. That was somebody's jet ski, you got, and we converted it.
Did that go 30?
Listen, we were one of the first ones. There was no sleds. We were. I mean, it was.
Yeah, that was a big thing. We're trying to get a sled.
But-
We didn't have a sled, but
No.
I mean,
Did you end up getting one?
No, there was no sleds invented. I don't think they even had sleds back in those days.
Wow.
So there's another picture of our headquarters.
So
early in the
what
morning.
was that headquarters like? It looks a lot smaller than what we're working with now.
Yeah, well, you shared it with the beach
control.
control,
yeah, we were on the right side. Beach control was on the left side.
Okay.
but we had lockers and a shower in there. One shower.
One shower, one bathroom.
Right. So, that was that was that. So
But don't forget, there was a big bathroom on Hamilton Avenue where the stage is now. That
Yeah.
used to be an underground bathroom, and it was real big. Because if you were working the south end and you called down to have a 10-3 break, you could go down there.
yeah, there was
That's-
bathrooms underneath all of the boardwalk on every
On the
other
street.
other street on the street
Street end.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have some other pictures here. Can you show the one? Let me see what you have there. So so Billy, Billy was it was lifeguard of the year in 1981. Let me get the picture. So
41 years ago.
so here let me show. So here he is there. You can see he got the raccoon eyes, and that's John Boyd.
from the
so
Ray-Ban
if we're looking at the
sunglasses?
picture to the left is John Boyd, and he was our captain. And that's our, obviously Billy in the middle, and that's give me his name, like,
Jim Williams.
Jim Williams.
Jimmy
No,
Williams.
Jimmy
the-
Williams.
The bear.
The bear. Excuse me. I'm sorry. And there's look at Billy. There you go,
Oh wow,
man.
that's a running list.
Huh? Yeah, that's all before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's
Oh,
good.
Skip's on that list. Eric Doc,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Skip
Skip,
before we talk about you winning Lifeguard of the Year.
actually, I brought Skip to the beach patrol with a friend of mine.
Wow.
Jim Weaver. We worked.
Okay.
We used to work out in a gym up in Lakewood. Bob Ottner. It was in his basement, and this was before Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, all that stuff even existed. And this Bob Ottner had a big, gym set up in his basement. It was 50 cents a workout, and we met Skip there one time,
Yeah, keep going, Billy.
and he was
Just lower his camera a little bit.
That's fine.
No, not lower it that way. Lower it the whole thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
and he was we met him in there, and he was skinny and thin, but he really looked like he was kind of taken by the beach patrol, because Jim Weaver and I were lifeguards at the time. So we brought him down, and he took the test and passed, and he became sort of like an icon on the beach. He wound up down in Fort Lauderdale as a lieutenant. Unfortunately, he died about how long ago? I think he had
Oh, at least over 10 years ago.
yeah, I think he
He was a legend down there.
oh yeah, he was.
He was
He would go when some of these swimmers would swim from Miami to Bimini
Uh-huh.
in the shark cages. He would swim or go alongside on a rescue board, to provide security. That's Richie Phillips did
Yeah,
that
yeah,
also,
yeah. But down in the lifeguard tournaments down there, he was a big rower in USLA, so he was you go down there, you say, oh, I'm from Seaside, and then you tell them, Skip Jarris did it, and they're like, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that gets talked about like like an absolute
Oh, yeah.
legend.
He was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he just really was, ahead of his time. He was incredibly shaped.
Uh-huh.
Worked out year round. Great in the boat. He was good in the boat. A guy named Kenny Reed was also very good in the
Yeah,
boat.
Yeah. So Billy, I want to ask you, because and then we can keep free. I want to show the other picture here, because see, I think it's really important for you. We want to talk about you, but we also, you have information about Junie Boyd and John Boyd that a lot of us don't. Can you show that one picture, 1993, Tyler? So this is a picture of Junie Boyd, or a caricature. Now these I guess lithographs, whatever you want to say, were done by Doug Parise.
Describe the picture just for people only listening.
Oh,
He's standing on the back
sorry,
of the
yes.
on the back of the boat, no oars in hand, catching a wave in. It's a really
Just body,
epic picture.
And also this was on the cover of Surf Magazine.
Yeah.
Right. So just to understand, people on a podcast, you got to go to our YouTube and look at this. This picture is amazing. So two things: Doug Parise has done all of these things that we're showing you are
Shout out
by
Doug Parise.
Doug Parise, unbelievable
Yeah,
talent.
how are you, Doug? He was a
Yeah.
former captain. In the
Right.
beach.
And but so in the show Captain John Boyd again. This is the other brother. Just show a picture of that one more time. So these are, I don't have a picture of Joe, but can you just give a little bit about their background, these three men? And
Yeah,
because, they really,
I actually played football for Joe Boyd. He was a football coach out at Central Regional in the 60s. Unfortunately, he passed away also. And then John Boyd was, a head coach of Atlantic City High School. He was very well. He's in the New Jersey Football Hall of Fame, but he used to run these clinics out of Atlantic City. That's where he lived. But back then with,
who'd he play football for? He played football for Pop Warner.
he played for Temple University. He was an All-American. I think he played in the first Sugar Bowl or the first Cotton Bowl against Bear Bryant and stuff. He was,
But who ran Temple? That wasn't Pop Warner.
oh, his son, John Jr., who also has passed away, was my bench partner for a while. He had some original written, plays by Pop Warner. Now, I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I don't know what, I think they wanted to put them in Canton, Ohio, but I don't know what happened to them. But
Wow.
that's how John knew Vince Lombardi, Bear Bryant. He would run these clinics out of Atlantic City that just had every pro or big time college coach down there. But actually, he's the one who, that lifeguard emblem,
Mhm.
he designed it.
And
Okay.
he's so
Our logo.
because a lot of
okay?
beaches.
A lot of beaches
use
copied
this.
it, but that was our logo. He also he took a sound system off of a destroyer. Really, that's how the PA system got put in, and it got put in on the boardwalk. Okay.
That's tough.
Really.
And were we like the first
We were
beach
one of
to
the
have
first
that?
around. Then,
But-
believe it, go ahead.
No, but he was in the military. So he was
Yeah,
in
He was
captain.
in
So good.
He was in Navy, I think.
Oh, Navy.
Yeah, I don't know I know Joe was a pilot. Joe,
Joe,
Boyd.
the other brother was a fighter pilot. I thought I think John was a
John-
air sea rescue
Yeah,
captain.
he was in the
at
military
Pensacola.
also. Yes.
Right.
Okay. And but again, he brought that system into, and he designed the system that we use with with our covers and loose can, rope can, which a lot of beach patrols use.
Mhm.
He went away from the belt and went to the rope cans.
Right. What? So that was
He was a very intuitive guy. He really knew the ocean. He really he was a great judge of character. Real quick story. They wanted to replace one year the lifeguards with somebody came up with an invention like a big shotgun that was going to shoot some kind of a rescue.
Like an old James Bond movie or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he said-
that's what they used to use in the life-saving service.
So these
Yeah.
people talked to town and to give him a tryout. So John waited till there was a northeast wind blowing big time, about 20, and they all went down on the beach, and this guy shot this thing off, and it went straight up in the air and about 35 feet back on the boardwalk. Everybody turned around and left, and that was the end of getting rid of the lifeguards.
Wow.
yeah. That wasn't a good story.
And Junie,
Yeah.
actually, Junie was the youngest, but there was another brother, Jim, but he wasn't on the beach patrol. But Junie was, again, an icon in the lifeguard boat. I never seen anybody in my life that was as good as he. In big rescues, he'd get out no matter how bad the surf.
So Billy, you made there was another brother? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
there was a brother named Jim. Yeah.
And
He
whatever,
was an engineer out of Philly.
what was his? He passed. I mean, I guess he's passed.
He's passed away. They were all
Yeah.
gone.
But he never did anything with the beach. He
No,
wasn't a beach
no,
guy.
I don't know. I think he lived either somewhere in the summertime, because I know he had a big 31-foot Bertram that he used to be a big time
Oh.
fisherman. But
That-
the other three of them were always, were on the beach patrol.
So that's a good segue. So the beach patrol back in your day or earlier had a boat, a 30-foot
Well,
cabin.
the year,
So,
the
so-
year before I started was the last year they had a boat called Miss Seaside. There's a couple pictures of it in the lifeguard
Right.
headquarters. And Joe Boyd would run the boat, and Dion Feltry, who was on the beach for quite some time. I think he was the police academy in New Jersey.
yeah.
He
What
he
was the function of the boat? It was
well,
a big
what they
boat.
would do, they'd run out, they'd park the boat. It would be on Pelican Island. And they would run down to the inlet on the days when the ocean was, wasn't really, really rough.
Oh, this is the motor boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 foot, big
30
one, big
30
big
it
one.
was the Seekers,
Um,
31 foot.
What inlet?
Barnegat.
Barnegat.
Okay.
Okay, so that was a long ride for them. They left early in the morning, and then they would go, back up to Seaside along the ocean. And when we would have a big rescue, there would be, there was at least one or two lifeguards on a boat in Joe, and that they would dive off the front of the lifeguard boat with loose cans and pick up people. Then they would back them up, put them on the boat, and then he would take the boat right back, back the boat and right to the edge of the beach. There used to be a big transom on the, a deck on the back, and they'd put people there and, drop them off right on the edge of the surf. It was really pretty cool. They would
That's
go,
awesome.
yeah, but they would go everywhere. They would cover like if they had something going on in the park, big rescue or Island Beach or Lavalet or Wortley, and they were all over the place.
And did it just become too expensive to maintain?
It was just a lot of work and it was a lot of time. When you're on that boat, probably 10, 12 hours a day, every day. I mean, it beats you up after a while.
Yeah,
And was it the same guys always on the boat?
Yeah, always the same guys.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
And
over an hour. It's over an hour ride.
easy.
Way over an hour.
Yeah. And then
It probably sat like on the surface. That sounds like the coolest job, but just
Well, I'll tell you
rotting
what,
out there on that boat deck. is-
exactly. But with the dawn of the age of the wave runners and all that stuff, it made that stuff obsolete.
Mhm.
I mean, you just
Well, they have it in San Diego and other beaches, but their inlets are a lot closer. Unless you could launch off the beach. But again, Billy's saying, jet skis are just
I mean, a jet ski with
so
a
much
jet
better.
ski with a sled now. I mean, they even make the lifeguard boats.
Catch that
obsolete.
thing is making a lot of
Oh.
noise.
And you got what do you call? Sorry about that. You got there's days where it's foggy. Remember we had one of the swims. It was some kind of, and I brought my boat up, and it was dense fog.
Yeah, you couldn't see anything.
And I had, I did all radar. I brought like 3 lifeguards, and my electronics I was really good at, and I just went right to Seaside, and we came in. And but I was there a couple times with my boat where I finished fishing with my dad, and we would come in, and there'd be rescues going on, and I'd be sitting there, and I could see the lifeguards coming out with the rescues, and we just kind of hang out there. I wish I would have had my camera,
One time we had a boat workout. It was like 5 in and outs, and the second the boats launched, like the thickest fog you can imagine rolled in. You couldn't, from your lifeguard stand, you couldn't even see the water line. And I just remember Chief getting on the PA system and saying like, "Oh, boats, come back right now." And then I was out there with Dom, and we were just like, "We're gonna."
We've had that.
Well, I mean, just going back to a little while ago with the lifeguard test. I mean, once you took the swim in the ocean and you were pretty beat up, as soon as you got back, they put you in a lifeguard boat, shoved you out by yourself.
For your test?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this.
And
I forgot about that.
it was do or die.
And how did your row go?
I got turned over. I mean, I didn't know anything about a boat.
They do it. That back in that was part of like, okay, let's see.
So what were they looking for? Just that you would do it?
If you had enough nerve to do it. I mean, okay, but I mean, it depends on the surf. If you caught it lucky and it wasn't really some big surf, you're okay. But they didn't give. It was northeast. You're going out.
Now, have you ever seen a rookie get in that boat after their ocean test and already know how to do it?
No, not many guys do. I mean, it's one thing to row a rowboat. It's a totally different thing to run, to row a lifeguard boat. That's why going back to Junie Boyd, I mean, I couldn't get the hang of it. So I asked him one day, would you show me how to use a lifeguard boat? And he said, "Okay, kid, jump in with me," and then he just took me under his wing. And same thing with Skip.
Yeah, same thing. I mean,
same thing with Kenny Reed.
Skip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They all learned from Junie.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I learned from Steve Healy. Steve Healy would take me down at the end of the day, go down the bay. There was a bay boat, and we would train because we've made rescues with the boats. I mean, raft rescues, raft rescues.
We'd have a big rescue maybe on a northeast day, and he would get out with a boat because he knew he was smart enough and knew the ocean. I mean, he would go out through the run, and you'd make a rescue, and he'd put people in the boat and put them on the floor, and you'd ride a wave in no matter what, right to the edge of the beach, get all these people out and go right back out. And if you were a lifeguard and you swam out there, he'd tell you, you're not getting in the boat. You're a lifeguard. Swim back.
So what was the Boyds like? What was their leadership style?
Look, they were, as he would say, it's just a semi-military organization. I mean,
That's how it was.
I mean, it was either my way or the highway. There was no, playing around with it. If you didn't do what you were told, you can't. See, at that point in time, though, kids nowadays, I mean, it's a little different. We have problems along with every other beach patrol to get people to come to work. Back then, I mean, this was, the place to work on the Jersey
Billy, why don't you
Shore.
come a little closer this way so your cord don't? I mean, is it too?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I thought it was bothering you. I'm sorry.
So I mean, you really wanted to work there. I mean, if you didn't want to work, there were always guys waiting in the wing. I mean, you might have passed the test, but they go by time. They had in the locker room, they had a mark on the back with a pencil. It was 5'10". If you weren't 5'10", you weren't getting the test. Yeah, I mean, that's
now,
how.
you say that there were guys lining up to get the job. You had
Well, they
this
might have
time,
20
like,
guys swimming
Uh-huh.
and they only have 3 openings. So they would go by time. Whoever had they'd stand on top of the lifeguard headquarters with a stopwatch. And then what they would do, if it was fairly competitive, is you'd get within like 10 or 15 yards of the boat and they would tell a guy from on the PA system, take the boat out further. So, yeah.
Now
You
there's
talk about, and if the water was in the 50s, high
Uh-huh.
50s or low 60s, I mean, you were beat up and going out, and
See-
then all of
see-
a sudden you had to go another 25
Right,
yards.
right.
You know?
Tyler, you gotta understand when he talks about this is not embellishing the story. We, Northeast storm. You take a boat out. We rode waves, and I it's hard to think about now because we've definitely gotten a lot more conservative. But
Well,
we let people
reliability, yeah.
swim. We would have big rescues and
We never shut the beach down. I
Mhm.
remember one time when we were the only beach. There was a hurricane coming in. I mean, Al Ayers was captain. We all sat out. The tide was going out and the waves were getting bigger. I think that was the year we had that Sunday. We had 150 rescues. Everybody got a little thing from the town council. Remember that?
nobody drowned that day.
Oh, nobody drowned. That
14
day.
people drowned the rest of that week. That week.
Everybody was closed. People were
What-
calling up, coming down from Point Pleasant, everywhere.
what was the mindset behind allowing people to swim like that?
Again, it came from the top. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? The captain said we're open. They're
Uh-huh.
going to have the beaches open. People are going to swim. I mean, nowadays, again,
I'm
with all
just
the lawsuits and the liability and
Mhm.
every other thing and the red flags. And then when did USLA come into?
sometime in the 70s, right?
It wasn't there. No,
I thought 80s. We
I was
looked
gonna
at
no,
say, it
80.
can't be
Yeah,
in
it
the
wasn't. It
70s.
wasn't there in
Yeah.
77. It wasn't there. I'm trying to think what year, but we didn't have USLA. No.
USLA started in New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Doc,
it's
how-
nationwide now. But
How do you feel about like the pushback on the boats that's happening right now?
well, I mean, again, the boat is a part of the lifeguard.
It's like
you
it's more of a traditional thing at this point.
again, yes. Just because of the new things that have come out, the technology, the wave runners, look at what else we have. What did we have that Mr. What was it?
Sea Bob.
Sea Bob.
The Mr. Bob.
Mr. Bob thing that goes
See-
underwater and
See,
all
let me
that.
make a point about Tyler. Tyler, you asked the question because I just want to, you say, how does it feel? Like we let everybody swim. You gotta understand, that was all across the world, United States. There was a different perception back then. You took your own risk. You were it was nobody's responsibility. You want to go swim and go. We there was times when we pulled the plug, but you had. Everybody took their own responsibility and would save you. There's still, I mean, if you look at, you watch that Bondi Beach, I mean, they're not sitting on the stands blowing a whistle in.
Yeah.
I mean, when they're going after people, they let them swim. They, so to a certain degree, we've changed over time where we caught, I mean, as soon as there's a little wave, we close the beaches down.
Well, I mean, again,
Still-
Seaside's a very unusual place because of the traffic it handles. There's probably more people down there on a Saturday, Sunday in the summertime, 40, 50, 60,000 people, on a mile of beach. So just sheer numbers.
Yeah.
If
And
the water gets a little cranky, then you're going to have a lot of rescue work.
we see nowadays, we see a very diverse crowd.
Sure,
A lot of
absolutely.
people that are from these kind of urban areas where they don't get to the beach much. When did Seaside kind of become like this big tourist attraction, or was it always that?
Well, it
the
was always
homeless
like
son
that.
and
It
daughter?
Always
was-
like
it was,
that, yeah.
It was more, when I started, it was more, I would say, family oriented
Uh-huh.
in terms of like people would come down for a week, rent a bungalow,
Yeah.
it would be more families, things like that.
Yeah, I guess the better question would be, when did Seaside Heights become kind of the party town that it
Always
has
been
become
like
known to
that.
be?
It's been a
That's it?
honky tonk. No, it's
Yeah,
always.
it was always like that. I mean, it's just
It's
a different mindset. Now you had lately I guess they're all closed, but they had the disco the whole time. So, but when I first started, there were a million little bars. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there had to be 10, 15, 20 bars
Yeah,
in town,
yeah.
plus all the
Ti-
bars on the boardwalk.
ti-
I mean,
ti-
you went from one to one to one to one.
And did they all treat you guys well?
Yeah, no. I mean, well, when you were in Lifeguard and Seaside, you pretty much were at the home field advantage. I'd
Uh-huh.
say, you really didn't get in a lot of trouble. If you did, it kind of got, they gave you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, you had a
Right.
little wiggle room.
Was there any
When I
beef
first
with
started
other
work-
beach patrols? Like if you ran into the park guards, was there going to be?
Well, we never really had a problem with. There was a bar, one of the Lifeguards owned, called Good Time Charlie's. Okay, it's where the existing 7-Eleven is now.
Mhm.
Okay, When we went to work, we parked in the police lot. Okay. And then when we got done work, the truck would drop us off right in front of Good Time Charlie's. Now, I'm going to say for the sake of the argument and this podcast that if you were 18, okay, you would go into Good Time Charlie's after work and the first beer was free. Okay. So, I mean, that was just, and that was, and I can remember going in there at 6 o'clock and leaving there at midnight in a lifeguard uniform. But
Yeah.
That's the way it was. But you didn't come in there from an outside source and start any trouble.
Yeah.
Because, that it just didn't fly, but it was like everything else, most of the lifeguards hung there. Okay. And there was, it's not the surf club. Remember that? That's gone now too.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
down Nortley
But
Beach?
but if you think about it, Tyler, you asked a question and people come down when you go on vacation. What do? You start drinking. I mean, people, I mean, I have friends, when I'm down in the Caribbean, I have friends come down, they start drinking 10 o'clock in the morning. They never do that in here. They'll never do that. I mean,
when you're on vacation and now too, if you're coming down and you're paying $8, $9, $10 to get on the beach for the day, you're going swimming. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh,
You
yeah.
pay
You're-
$10 and then somebody tells
You're going to get the most out of
right.
it.
So when you
going
said
in
that,
the water.
right, years ago, Tyler, just so you understand, the town, they equated closing the beach with loss of income. Not only loss of income for the tickets, but also loss of income, people spending money on the boardwalk, going in the bars. So the town fathers didn't want us to close. And the other thing is, you were not allowed to bring 1 ounce of food on the beach. No coolers, no drinks, no nothing. You sat there. You could go up on the boardwalk and eat. Now, some beaches still do that. But and then when that started to change, that was a whole big paradigm because the bar owners and the restaurant owners didn't want anybody bringing food, picnicking. Remember, that was a big thing, Billy. Remember, we had big arguments. So it's, that has changed over the years too. So,
Well, I mean, it got to a point too, also a few years back when people were bringing, those 6-foot tables down and setting up,
those giant coolers,
giant
big
coolers, big pots,
Yeah,
they
they'll
would
bring
have,
the catering trays.
yeah, exactly.
yeah, they had what do you call those Bunsen, those little burners?
those little burners, and they, it had a buffet down there on the afternoon, but that all got put down. And then even recently, like with after the storm with all the sand dunes and everything, that changed the whole topography of the beach. When I first started, you could walk the boardwalk, look at the beach. You can't see the beach now if you walk the boardwalk, with the dunes. They had to make a couple of platforms, but it was just different. You're on the beach, off the beach, and into the bar and back out. I remember plenty of people coming out of one of the bars, all banged up. I was one of the first fights I was ever in. Some kid sprayed me full of shaving cream, and that was at Donnybrook after that, and that was down on DuPont Avenue. So,
yeah, that was another
what are you
thing.
gonna do? Remember?
Yeah, we used to have some big brawls on the beach.
Yeah.
And that's it. When you say things have changed, we're not saying it was good, not saying it was bad. It was different. And so let me ask you this, Billy. I wanted to ask you about we had other guests here. So how about some of your most, when we had the guys from Live Light, we were asking them, you remember some of your most harrowing rescues?
Sure.
Now, and let me just before I said it, because I remember one that I thought you did like an unbelievable job. And you were down in North End, I think, at this time. And we find out that this woman had a seizure in the water and was underneath the water. I mean, it was a calm day. It was probably early in the morning. And Billy, grace of God, you saw her and you got her. And she was intubated and she was in the hospital for about, 2-3 days, maybe longer. She was from England or something. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Yeah, that was,
you saved her life, man, for sure.
Well, my brother, who was a lifeguard for quite a long time, same thing. He was sitting on DuPont Avenue. He started swimming out. I didn't even know, what he was doing. Got about 30 yards out, took off the loose can and went down underwater and pulled this guy out. He had an epileptic seizure and brought him back to the beach. He was gone. He was blue. We did CPR on him for 20-25 minutes. And, everybody was like, he's dead. Let him go. We got the guy back.
Wow.
Yeah, we got him back.
This whole time you're doing CPR, were you waiting for paramedics to respond?
Well, back then,
there was no paramedics.
There wasn't. It was just Triborough, and there was only like one or two.
Old guy. Yeah,
like I said, we worked on.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, jeez, I don't know, maybe early mid-30s.
There was no defibrillators back then.
Nothing like that. It was
Sean,
just
no
regular,
defibrillators. No.
Just compression and mouth to mouth. No masks, no nothing. I mean, the guy was throwing up all over the place. He just kept on working, And like I said, I remember the most vivid thing I remember was everybody. It was a huge crowd, they were saying, stop, guy's dead, he's done, don't. And we just kept on going, and all of a sudden he started blinking his eyes.
Wow.
And I said, just if you can blink your eyes, if you can. And he did, and anyway, they came, they got him. He was in a hospital. He had pneumonia, which usually happens.
Sure.
He was
Secondary drowning.
He
Yeah.
came down about a month and a half later to my brother, and wanted to give him money and this. And my brother said, no, I'm not going to do that. That's part of my job.
Yeah.
And then this guy never went back in the water, any more than knee deep. But it just goes to show, it's luck.
Yeah, it's luck.
Yeah.
Well, but you
Then
guys, it's
divine
talent. Yeah, but you know what?
intervention,
Yeah, I mean, too. Yeah, but your brother was an unbelievable lifeguard.
My brother was a sharp guy. Kid jumped in, snapped his neck, right? Drug him back on the beach. He got 2 oars, put the blades down, put his head on the blades, got some towels or whatever.
Yeah,
he was a
him up,
smart guy.
stabilized him. Yeah, my brother.
You-
he went to med school.
Your
He was
brother
a
reminded me
physician.
of Hawkeye on MASH.
Smart guy.
And
Good guy, tough guy. Too.
Yeah.
I started on that beach. I was 18, and I don't know how old your brother was, but he was he was like bigger than all these guys. To me, when I first started thinking about it, it's kind of funny. Like they were bigger than. Oh, you want to show my picture? There I am.
Well, he was a most valuable lifeguard too. He was really he was tremendous.
Yeah, look at that. I wish I looked like that now,
Do you
man.
remember one of the worst rescues I ever had was going around the old casino pier.
Oh,
And,
tell us
So
about
let's tell.
that.
That's what we want to hear. We want to hear
Yeah,
the
I
worst.
mean, Came down on a cover from Sumner Avenue, wound up in the water,
So
off of-
give everybody. So Sumner Avenue is on the south
All right.
side of the pier. So give it a
Right.
little bit because the
Right.
pot.
Right in front of Spicy's Cantina.
Right.
Right next to where our pier juts out into the ocean.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Well, this was the old pier when it was out in the water.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And it was out a good distance in the water. And along the south side of the pier, that would be between the piers, there's what they call a run, the sea push. It would run off the pilings and out. When you got in there, it shot you out. So the wind was from the south, driving people north when they got out in the ocean. So whoever was out, I forget who it was on the rope, but the rope got caught around the pilings. We had to, snap. There's a big clip on a rope can that we used to unhook. And then you get around in front of the pier with a couple of victims. But the problem was you had those combers coming in and pushing you into the pilings. Now, I don't know if you've ever been through the pier, but when you scrape along that pier, I
It's all
mean,
barnacles.
Yeah.
you can't, you can't feel it, but you're just getting cut to shreds, and then we got pushed through the pier and through the side, and we were all banged up, all cut up, finally shot out on the north side of the pier by,
Now,
And you got victims. You got to
Yeah.
protect the
People.
victims.
in a moment like that, like
you don't really think about the only thing, I mean, as far as I'm concerned personally, the only thing you're thinking about is getting them back without losing them and getting back to the beach. I mean, personal safety, I don't think I ever thought about that. Honestly, God, on any rescue I ever went on, which, I mean, you're so conditioned to doing this, and, do or die, and that's what the job's all about. Like John Boyd said, you're useless like everybody else until you have to put your life on the line. I remember one banquet, he said, you get an opportunity to do something that most of the people in the world never do, and that's to save somebody's life. And when you save somebody on a bad rescue, you have saved a life.
Yeah.
I mean, you put that, when you sit back and think about that, it's a pretty impressive thing to do.
There
How many
is-
people can say that?
there is like that difference between, going for someone just because it's going to take them an hour to get back in, and those rescues where you
It's
really
life or
know,
death.
and you get back onto the beach and you're like, that was
Well,
heavy.
I was running in charge of the beach one time because the captain wasn't there. That day was a Saturday, and we had a rescue off that pier, and it was a guy with the dreadlocks. Okay, and I didn't even see him. And the 2 kids that went out, he went down under, and I just saw the top of his head with with the hair, and they grabbed him. I mean, they got him, but I mean, you just don't know. I mean,
They go out fast sometimes.
any bad rescue, could be the last rescue, or be a fatality, and we just don't want that to happen down there. And again, with everything considered, with the amount of people and the amount of beach, a mile of beach, which really isn't a whole lot, and you put 40, 50,000 people there, sooner or later.
So I got another one. I was trying to prepare for this. So this is your life, do you remember? So I remember It was a 4th of July day, and the day deteriorated towards the middle of the day. But you were sitting on Sumner, pretty sure it was Sumner. Maybe and I was, I think, the next stand down, Franklin. And you had he was a rookie. His name was Wayne Smith, and you're sitting with him. He's a good buddy of mine
Yeah,
still. You
I
know, we
remember
know
that.
Wayne.
Didn't he go around the pier that day?
No, that was whatever. I just remember that we were watching, we were all looking, and that day there was some dolphins actually chasing up fish, and there was pelicans diving on them, which is very unusual. You know, you don't usually see pelicans diving with, with dolphins. It's usually bluefish and seagulls. But anyway, all I remember is this guy was going down for the count, and you and Wayne went out, and you were at the point, obviously, you were the loose can. And we were sitting there going, oh, man, just go, Billy, boy. And we're like, please, God, don't let this. And this guy was just had nothing. He just, I don't know what, but you remember that? I don't know. It's kind of, it's hard.
I don't remember that exact rescue. I mean, but,
How about this one?
Probably been on 1,000.
Okay,
Yeah, you just told a
I
story
don't
about
remember.
150 in one weekend.
How about the one where another one I was thinking about, and
I'll tell you, one of
we got
those-
hit with hit back in the head with the orange or something.
Oh, well, yeah, I was.
Somebody threw some.
Some guy hit me in the back of the head with I think it was a rubber ball or an orange. I don't know. And I mean, I turned around, I couldn't tell. And anyway, the phone rings, and it was Kenny Reed. He was sitting on the next stand over. He goes, I don't want to start any trouble with the guy that hit you in the head. He's sitting back down there with the guy with the shirt on.
That was the end of that.
Well, he got locked up. That was,
That's a short story.
Yeah,
That's a short to a long story.
It turned out to be a little bit of a brawl, yeah, but he got locked up.
He regretted throwing that ball.
Bad idea. Yeah, bad idea.
So
how, because you guys went on a lot more rescues than we do now. What was your training like, and how has it changed?
The honest to God's truth was the training. It was pretty much back when I worked. You were kind of like on your own. You were responsible. I mean, you had some supervision in the sense of learning how to use a lifeguard boat, learning the system. You know how it is. One down, one cover, first man in, go out, loop the rope. But as far as being in shape and taking care of yourself, I mean, nobody pushed the issue. I think it was just one of those things you knew you had to be. Don't get me wrong. We all had our moments at night where we went out and had a few too many beers and everything. But everybody, I will say one thing. My heyday, I don't care what you did at night or how bad you were banged up. You showed up for work in the morning. Okay. I mean, you didn't call in sick or I don't feel well. I mean, you came in, you might have sat on the lifeguard stand and thrown up most of the day, but you worked.
Right. See, another thing, answer that, Tyler. We didn't move stands. No, in other words, you sat, if you were on Sumner, you sat that stand the whole summer. You had the same
And
partner.
you sat with the same guy. And if
Mhm.
he was sick or something happened, you worked by yourself.
Wow.
And no lunches, right?
On Sunday, no lunch. 9 to 6, half hour during the week. 9 to 6 on Sunday, no lunch. Just get off to go to the bathroom.
But
Wow.
but to answer your question about how I never back in those days worried about anybody thinking about that they couldn't make it. Some guys were better than others, but you got to remember, you had the cream of the cream. I mean, to get on that beach, you had to be good. You had to be better than good. You had to be better, the top. So
Well, you had to be the tough guy.
right,
Yeah,
right. And so
absolutely,
it was never. It was just more of, I think, where it was somebody missed something, or you were just not attentive enough. But no, there was never anybody. You worked, you trained, and you had this. We would, here's the other thing too, especially with your brother. We all monitored. If you were doing a shitty job, we'd come down on you. We'd be like, that's bullshit, man. What are you doing? Right?
Well, I mean, they would phone you down from the boys. I mean,
but they'd hang you too. Yeah.
They'd hang you, or what would happen was, you'd get reamed out maybe on the phone or something. But the next morning when you'd go in, and when we have a morning meeting, they'd call you, step up here. Mike, Bill Ditchkus, get up here.
Light you up, man.
We missed a cover one time. And oh my God, we wound up, what they would do is if you did something stupid like that, they'd send you down to the South Bay, the DuPont Avenue, but that was the worst place.
The sun, back in the end of the day, the sun.
It was just the worst.
Well,
nobody went there. It was loaded with seaweed. It just was like
stunk,
it
crabs.
stunk
That was South Bay.
That was the
It's
South.
not even
there
closed
anymore.
They closed it down. It doesn't even exist
You
anymore.
have a pretty great story about the South Bay.
Well, yeah. A bench partner of mine, we got jammed up one time for doing something stupid, and we got sent down to the South Bay, but we stopped in the morning at the local bar and grill and got a few items. And, by 3 or 4 o'clock, we were feeling no pain. And we got jammed up with it. But, and they said to us, you'll never work on the bay
Couple
again.
darlings
You'll never
were
work on the
out
bay
for it.
again. Not that you'll
Yeah.
never work.
But,
Well, this
That
guy,
they-
he had a Volkswagen bus. Yeah, we had a few young ladies with us, and we were having a little bit of
Oh boy,
little-
now the story is
a little beach party on the
Uh,
beach there,
boys will be boys.
As a rookie, did you start on the bay?
My first summer, it was totally different then.
Everybody
was-
started on the
yeah,
bay.
everybody
Even
started
though
on
you
the bay,
started in
yeah.
park, you worked in the bay first.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was, I know average sized guy. Most guys were bigger than me. I mean, I worked with a lot of state troopers, Marty Dreyer, Barry Lautier. As a matter of fact, I was headed in the state trooper direction at one time because I got myself into a hell of a fight when they were around. They said, in the old days, troopers, that's how you got in. You had to know somebody, it's totally different now. But they said, what are you doing in the fall? I was finishing up college, and they said, you're going to go into state troopers. Fortunately, I got into dental school. So, I mean, that changed my plans at the last minute. But yeah, no, I mean, just tough, big, tough guys, man. I mean, I sat down here, you kept your mouth shut.
What
Yeah.
did it take to get off the bay?
You had to swim.
Uh-huh.
We swim to get,
Time too.
yeah.
Time.
Bobby Rudder was like that. You remember him? I don't know.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
a so-so swimmer. Then he went out to college and swam for a college team. And he came back and said, put the boat out, man. That's what I did. Put it out. I'll swim. And we did. And that's how you got up.
You got to be able to do the job. But let me just, one thing you make a point about, because Doc's reminded me when you talk about training. Like I said, we took care of ourselves, and I tell you how. Like I remember I had a rookie on my stand, and the rookie was blowing the whistle in the water to the south of us, to the other lifeguards' water, and it was this guy's name, John. John was a senior guy. John walked down. I didn't blow the whistle, right? And I didn't tell the lifeguard to blow. He just did it on his own. I didn't even have time to reprimand him, and because I knew the people were in his water. John came down, went right to me, said basically, if he blows the whistle again, I'm going to take that whistle and do something with it to you. And then he walked away, and he was a senior on me. So, but we had this self-discipline, and like you said, you go down the bay and you proved yourself. So you would work out like a maniac. You would take the boat. You would come in the morning. I used to work in the morning. I'd come in the morning, pull a boat out and row it. And, make sure that just before roll call, I bring the boat in and the captain saw what I was doing, So, I mean, you that was how it was. It was a different, like you said.
It's a whole different, genre than what it is today. Today is real high tech, shortwave radios, or we just got brand new ones this past summer, and just wave runners.
So what about another
We didn't
rescue,
have-
Billy? I'm sorry, Ked. Well, another big, one more, just another big.
Yes, I do remember one. This guy I worked with it was that day of the hurricane. It was Pete Romano. We had these two.
Oh yeah,
We
Pete.
we had these two guys out there. They got sucked out in a run. These guys, no kidding, they were probably, I'm not lying, about 300 pounds apiece.
Mm.
Okay. And we waited a little bit, and then, we had to go, and we got them. And the worst part wasn't getting them. We got them, and they were, half drowned by the time we got to them, but it was coming back in. We came through some just gigantic combers, and, I mean, you've been on rescues. Once you
Mhm.
get pushed to the bottom, when you're holding on to somebody, you don't, you're very disoriented. You don't know what end is up. You're trying to, hold on to them, hold on to the can, trying to figure out, am I ever going to, well, again, you asked about life, life and death. Am I going to get to this, the top of the ocean, or am I going to get a chance to breathe? You're beaten up, and then you get up and bang, you get
Right, you can't
get-
let him go. You can't. This is
and you
somebody's
get hit-
life.
you
I mean,
get hit again.
it gets. We've had times, and Billy makes a good point. I've had times where we're coming in. This is big stuff because we didn't pull the plug on people swimming, and you'd be in this position where they're 3 to 5, maybe 6 foot, and maybe even bigger, and about that 3 to 5. But that's a big ocean, and coming in with 2-3 people,
Sure.
and the guy on the rope was so important. But you had this sense that I can't let these people drown. First of all, I can't let
You can't let them go.
I
mean,
can't
you
let them
lose
go.
The
You-
whole
and-
thing
and-
is over. Yeah.
right, and man, you had to be so strong. And I remember drowning, like sucking so much water, and but we remember we
Yeah,
don't.
no, you were beaten up, and then you
have
had to go.
you-
Then you had to turn right around and go right back out.
Can you remember ever being in a situation where you thought, shit, I might I
Yeah.
might drown.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That one right there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, some of the funnier ones you have are usually with, the boyfriend, girlfriend, they go out on a run. He leaves her. She's out there by herself. You go get her. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah. And he's got the tattoo, death
Yeah,
before dishonor.
darling, your boyfriend just left you here to drown. You know that, don't you? No, man, that's a great line to get back on the beach. Honey, just smacking him around. Yeah, met a few of those. Yeah, I've also met a few girls doing that too. But
Something
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a little earlier on, when you were talking about the line of guys waiting to get this job, and I think about how currently we're begging people to apply. We're begging people to take swim tests.
sure. Well, I mean, it's
Was
up and
the-
down the coast. It's not just us. Nobody, I mean, it's just a kid can, basically go to Costco and make
Yeah.
15 or 16 or $17 an hour, bringing in carts from the parking lot. And then you're asking this kid to come down here and you're putting somebody's life in his hand and his own life in his hand on a bad day. It's just a different mindset.
Mhm.
I mean, like I said before, you either do or you don't. I mean, how many guys have we hired that first rescue or first week? I
You're
had
gone.
a rescue with a guy, big rescue. He got about 10 feet in the water, turned around, ran off the beach over the boardwalk, and never came back again. Yeah, really, I did.
I've gone onto the stand, and I don't know all the new kids, and I start talking to him, and I'm like, "What's up?" He goes, "I just, this is, I don't know if I could take this," and it's like a flat ocean. I'm like, "What? Relax a little bit, Yeah, of course,
Get some
I brought him a
sun.
cup of coffee, yeah, and I'm like, yeah. So we had one guy. I don't know if you remember Billy. It was Mike McNeil's buddy, and he was a big
Ah,
football player.
Yeah, Bob. I
And
forget his
then-
last name. That's a guy. Yeah,
Oh, he's so shit, right?
he
It was
panicked.
it was calm. Yeah, tell him about the story. This is a
Well,
good one.
He wanted to work on the bay. I mean, he loved it. No, really. He big guy, football guy. He goes, I just can't take the stress of the ocean. And anyway, they brought him up one day because I think we were short one
Right.
guy, and it was just
Right. And your brother, because see, that was the worst thing to tell everybody that he was stressed. Because I remember at lunch, I still remember this. Your brother's like, "Oh, it's a big ocean." I'm sitting there eating my lunch. I don't, because I'm still maybe a third year guard, so I'm not saying anything. These guys are like giants, and they're like going to this guy. "Oh, it's gonna be bad this afternoon." I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's not. There's no way. Oh, there's gonna be a big ocean." And then
he turned his stuff in, didn't he? He quit.
they got him going.
I think he started crying or whatever. I think he did. And
I
then
remember that.
crying and throwing up and carrying on, and he left. He just
Oh, man.
went home in a pair of shorts. Never saw the guy again.
Yeah, I remember that. That was bad. That was a bad.
Yeah, that was. It takes all kind.
Doc,
Yeah.
when did you start your yearly mile swim? And
Yeah, I
are
was
you
gonna-
still doing it?
I didn't do it this past summer because I had some issues physically with it. I had kidney stones. I was finally got that all straightened out. But yeah,
Good to
no,
hear.
I watched Junie Boyd when I was on lifeguard stand. He would swim from the casino pier down to the Funtown pier, which is a half mile. And I mean, I was just baffled by it. I mean, I just couldn't understand how somebody
Could swim that far?
could do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, once swimming, and you're a swimmer, swimming is, I mean, it's like running, it's conditioning, but it's style. Once you
Technique.
With everything though.
exactly, technique
Technique.
is a better word. Thank you. Once you get into a technique, or where it's just a matter of just 1 foot in front of the other, like
Mhm.
taking a long run. Yeah, and I just started doing it. I don't know how many. I got to be 10, 15 years. I usually do it once. Well, one summer I did it 8 or 9 times.
Wow.
But it's not really that difficult to swim unless it's a south wind. Then it's a different ballgame. But if you get out there early in the morning and it's west or it's flat, and the water's not too cold, it's not really hard. So, it looks hard.
But
I remember
10
I said that once at the banquet. These guys are all, how the hell is this old guy swim a mile down, down the beach? I mean, it's just a matter of getting in and doing it.
So 10 years, that's fairly recent for you.
Well, maybe I don't remember. Could be longer, but I mean, the biggest thing for me now, it's not a big deal. But in the old days, when I would swim down, it's got to be a fairly long time because I used to swim around the old casino pier. Now, I mean, I would be offshore by myself, maybe 200 yards
out
out.
there.
I mean, maybe
Because
more.
you had to give a lot of
Because
leeway
they-
because of the
fishermen.
fishermen that hit you with a
guy
hook.
guy threw. That's another story. A guy threw a big 2-ounce sinker and missed me by about a foot. You
They
know,
do it purposely. If you used to row, if you row your boat next there too close, they get all pissed off at you. They used to. I mean, once I was rowing, I wasn't paying attention.
Because you're disturbing the fish.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they just throw it. They hit you with it. They bang, bang,
Well,
bang,
what I
bang.
did was when I finished my swim, I went up on the pier and got him.
Yeah.
I grabbed him by the shirt. I said, "You see this? I'm going to throw you right over the side." And he was like, terrified. I said, "You ever do that to me again? I'm going to kill you." Yeah. And
Deadpan.
that was, I mean,
Yeah.
but you'd be out there. I never really thought about it, but I mean, you'd be out there by myself,
Mhm.
200, 250 yards. Then you hit this outside of that pier where that run is, and you'd be
Pushed out even
pushed
more.
out even further.
Yeah.
But
See, you guys, it's a different world. We had a guy, and make a quick story about that. Billy knows because we grew up in the same beach. We didn't have a lot of tolerance for this. We had a guy on the other pier, the flume ride. He was blowing a whistle, and they had a whistle, and I don't know if he was a lifeguard, and he realized that if you blow a run whistle, like we have a run whistle, so when there's a rescue, people out there on the radio, and we blow this whistle. It's a whole bunch of short little beep 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 beep. When you hear that, that means that there's a rescue going on or emergency. So that's like you just go from 0 to 100 miles an hour, and it gets you going. So this guy realized that
I've like fallen off my stand
right.
from hearing
So
a run whistle from like across like the other side of the
Right.
pier.
So this guy started blowing his run whistle, periodically to get the lifeguards near the pier all excited, and we could hear it. So finally, I didn't know this was going on. They let it go on. And so finally they get a hold of me and they go, "This guy's up there and he's blowing his run whistle." So I said, "Come on." So we took like 7 or 8 guys. We went up there and we basically, ended that. I mean, he didn't blow that run whistle anymore.
I'll tell you one thing, you guys. One thing
We
You
ended
can use your own
that.
imagination,
you guys
but
missed too would be people jumping off the end of the casino pier.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
catwalk.
Yeah, they'd go out there. You'd be a Sunday afternoon. A guy would be standing on the end of the pier, and next thing you know, bang,
yeah, they do that a lot.
Was that a thing that the lifeguards used to do?
I've known some lifeguards that jump from the Jetstar.
At
You know,
night.
at
Yeah,
night,
we don't.
yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing to
But
pier. We go with the
the-
jet
But I'm
car.
just saying, when
The
you're
Like-
roller coaster?
Yeah, it's
the one
another.
that fell in the ocean?
Yeah.
No way.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
they were-
yeah.
I would
I
never
could
have the
give you
balls to
names,
do
but
that.
I'm not gonna.
And-
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah,
get hurt
They
keep
were
that one quiet.
banged up at the time.
Well,
yeah.
I heard a story about Skip one time that he went to go down the log
The log
flume
flume.
Without-
but,
without the log.
fell
Without the
through,
log, yeah.
No, it was at night. They
and he
took
fell
his-
through.
he ruptured his spleen.
Spleen. They had to take a spleen out.
Yeah, he almost died. It
Well,
was-
Skip got on the police radio and what was it? No, Lavalette or something, and said that he was the Easter Bunny. I mean, they locked him up for a day or two.
yeah, he was a
we
he was
had
a
to go get
character.
him. Yeah, he was very unique.
Yeah, he was a character.
very
a
unique.
character.
Yeah.
But no, people would use during the people would go up there because it's a fishing pier. It used to be, and they would jump off. And so we couldn't see it a lot of times because it would be in the middle of the pier. You can't see that. So we would get a phone call, from the captain and say, "Hey, listen, somebody just jumped off the pier." So you don't know if they're okay. They broke their neck, So now we had a whole thing. Thank God it wasn't all the time, but it was enough times
Yeah,
where
but I mean, it was a little
Now,
crazy.
Back in the day, you say you get the call, someone jumped off the pier. Is that something you'd take a boat for
No,
to go check out?
go swim.
You go for a swim.
yeah, usually
Wow.
for a swim.
Take them. Then you get them in, you lock them up. Call the police. They come
Uh-huh.
down. That was it. They cuff them and take them. Yeah, that was just some borough
See-
ordinance or something. for
You
that.
guys used to do a lot of the policing on your own, correct?
Yeah, a lot of fights. Yeah, there
Uh-huh.
weren't that many police there. I mean, there was no police on the beach, and there were, there was. I'm sure they hired extra people in the summertime, but I'm just saying, that was all part of being a lifeguard. I mean, you were responsible for the ocean, okay, and you were responsible for running your beach. I mean, you get a couple people that come down, especially there used to be a lot of bars on the boardwalk. Mike will tell you,
Yeah.
and where the beachcomber, they used to have a live band there on Sunday. I mean, you would come out of there, people would be coming out of there, walking down the ramp. They'd be all banged up, and you try to tell somebody you can't do this, can't do that. And plenty of times you get into a bit of a
Yeah, they would start with you.
Yeah.
It was a different world. People would just, they were so, we didn't control the drinking as much. I mean, nobody did. Back in the day, So let me see what year, 77, 78, the drinking age was 18, and you could drink in public. You could drink on the boardwalk. So public
Must be nice.
Well, but the thing is,
They did that during COVID. Remember that?
Yeah,
They had
yeah,
like the IV bags with the straws in them.
Yeah. But see,
that was really new for us.
That was cool.
But but what happened is that people get the beer muscles. So you would go down and they come after you, they push you, So it was a different world. Like Billy said, we didn't have a lot of police.
Were other towns like that back in like the 60s and 70s? Did other towns have as many bars as Seaside Heights?
I don't think so. I think
No.
Seaside's always been very unique like that.
Well, because the reason I ask is I feel like, especially over the past, let's say 30 years, the Heights lifeguards have this reputation of being kind of like buff, like meathead kind of guys.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say, but I mean, there's a lot of guys came off that beach patrol, or the doctors, lawyers, dentists, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying, but they were physically a little,
well, not meathead as in like dummies, but a more kind of physical type of body was what we looked for. That was all
part of the job. Okay,
Well,
you didn't have people, now we see something, we phone, we radio it in. Then you took care of it.
Yeah, so
and if you got your butt kicked, so be it. I mean, then you just took more, hassle from the guys you work with.
I would not have gotten a job.
Well, remember the Lavalette lifeguards here? A lot of beaches would be competition and get these, tall, skinny swimmers. We would have, a lot of our lifeguards would be real, big weightlifters,
football players, wrestlers, that
because we were lifeguards / bouncers to a large degree. And the bouncer is probably a good way to put it. Not police. We didn't we didn't have handcuffs or guns or anything, but it was more trying to get these people out of the water and maybe off the beach, and they're staggering. And we still have it today, but not as bad. Back in those days, it was routine to go down and have people just doing. There was a lot of sex acts on the beach. I mean, I don't know how many times I broke up people having overt sex right on the beach.
In the morning, remember you turn a lifeguard boat over in the morning with people on the beach.
I mean,
but it was always crazy.
But so it was a different. You had to be physical. When you make a rescue, I'd probably say that half the rescues in the 70s and 80s and 90s, the people I went for and the worst rescues, they were hammered drunk, stoned out of their mind. You could smell the booze on the water when you're swimming out. And then you would get them, they'd fight with you. You get them on the beach, they'd fight with you. It'd be.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you a great story.
And I'm not making that up. That's not.
I rescued a girl. She was drunk. Okay. Put her on the beach. Half hour later, had to go get her again. So she got a summons, locked her up, had to go to court. Okay. So now the Borough Hall down was where they used to have court on top, where the police department is. So I went in there and the judge was there, and the girl came in, they were going to fine her. And she went before the judge and she gave him the whole story, but he gave her a $250 fine and, suspended 30 days, okay. So now I'm walking back down the center of the aisle, and her mother and father and brother jump up out of their chairs and jump on top of me.
Oh no.
In the middle of the courthouse. Yeah. This judge is going crazy. Cops running all over the place. It was pandemonium up there. People hitting people with just. They had to get me out. I had to go down the fire escape, go out the window and down the fire escape to get out of it. That's an honest to God.
Billy, didn't you just?
He put the whole family in jail. The mother, the father, the brother, the daughter.
Yeah.
All because she decided to go for a drunk swim.
Yeah, and like I said, instead of letting it just die, and paying the fine. I mean, I remember the father jumped out, smacked me in the side of the head. Oh my God.
Bill, didn't you have not a few years ago at the North End, some guy like attacked you or coming up the ramp? What was that? Well, I'm trying to remember.
Was a guy with a?
What was that? It was just not too long ago.
No, it wasn't. It was a beach.
Oh, people still talk their shit to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the beach wheelchair.
What happened? Can you say it without getting
No, and I got it. I was bringing it off, and the guy was all banged up, and I think one of the wheels hit him, and he said, hey, he goes, I'm. Me? He goes, yeah, you get back here. I said, yeah. He goes, I want you to apologize for hitting me with that. I said, oh, no. Yeah. So then he got a little, hand, pushy. But then all of a sudden, Steve Van Heist, another one of our lieutenants, he came out of nowhere, took this guy right out. So, I mean, it was just, but it was funny because then the police came. And if I remember correctly, I think he hit one of the police officers in the head on top. top of that, which is not a smart thing to do in
Uh-huh.
Seaside, you know. So they, I mean, they cuffed him, took him away. But yeah, you
Well,
know,
one thing that I got to say, and I don't care, political correctness and woke. You could call me, and they do. They call me every name, the horrible names they call us. They curse at us. They point their finger. They threaten us, and I'm cool. We're all,
Well, you gotta be careful.
but when you touch us, when you hit us,
different story.
it's all over.
All
You're
over.
going to go.
Self-defense.
You're going to be
Everybody has a camera. you
right.
know.
You're going to be, that you can't. There's a line. It's not even a fine line. You can't be hitting us. You can't be.
Well, I mean, when they come up to
You're
me,
gonna go to
they'll-
county
they'll
jail.
say, "Hey, pops,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to do what you want to do." And I say, well, you are going to do what I want to do, because if you don't, I'm going to push this little button, And I said, you may kick my ass. I said, but there just might be a chance. I might
Right,
kick
oh,
yours.
okay.
I said, then we
But-
can tell all your friends, man.
But let me ask you, Tyler, like a guy like for you, what do we say to you and you when you work on a beach? We have to say to you guys, listen, you take all the guff, you take all of the abuse, verbal, and we get them off the beach. You see me, like, why don't you lock them up? Just as long as they're getting off the beach, we're happy. But when somebody starts to get physical and starts, pushing, hitting, I'm talking about the patrons. That is a whole different animal.
It really is crazy what some of them will threaten you over.
Yeah.
One time I blew my whistle at this guy because he was throwing his football in the wash with like a bunch of kids around. And he was like 50 yards away. I pointed at him. I'm like, yo, dude, no more. And he looks at me, flips me off, starts
Yeah.
like cursing me out, walks up the beach, packs his shit up, and leaves. Like without even coming to the stand to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I remember I was on the radio. I was
Count your blessings on
I
that.
was like Franklin
Well,
to South End.
we're
This
very,
guy.
we're very fortunate that we
Yeah.
have police
Yeah.
now on the beach that help us out. It
Uh-huh.
takes a lot of the onus of us doing something, get into a hassle anymore. I mean, it's a great thing.
But what were you saying, Tyler?
No, just that the people, what people are willing to lose their minds about on the beach
Right.
when
Well,
our goal is to keep them safe.
no, that's Billy makes a good point. Now the beach is saturated with police. So
Well, that's great.
bang, we
the
get you right
police
down
chief,
there.
Tommy
Yeah.
Boyd. He's a great guy. He used to be a lifeguard, and he really kind of watches out for us. He keeps his guys. I will say one thing: all you have to do is push that button on that shortwave, and they've got police there, plenty of them. They're always there to back us up. God bless them. I mean, that's
it's unfortunate that people have to be, go to violence, because you see what it is. I mean, I sit there. I laugh when they call me every name in the book, and when they start pointing the finger and they threaten you.
What do you think someone's gonna do when you call them obtuse?
Well, it's it's not.
Well, what was the
it's-
guy?
I don't.
What was the guy
Retrograde.
said to you? What do you make? $8 an hour or something?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah. But you make it like I don't go up to somebody and after we explain like the 5th time that you can't swim in this run, and you guys are all ready to lose your minds, and I try to talk to these people, and I might say, and I don't call them stupid, but I say, listen, you don't understand the situation. That's being obtuse. But people get this, like you said, a lot of these people are intoxicated, they're high on drugs, and who knows what they got going on. But my point is that Billy makes a good point. One thing that we don't tolerate, and that's, we'll take, you got to take the verbal, but we don't take the physical. I'm not going to tolerate any of you guys. Cause see, listen, we got 16-year-old kid. What am I parent going to say? We have a 16-year-old kid on the beach or any beach, and somebody starts to, because they're an idiot and they start, it's one thing talking, we'll get involved. We get, how it is. We separate that real quick. We get that young kid out of there. But if I see anybody touch anybody, it's all over. If I have my way, I'm not going to beat you up. The cops are going to come down. You could be handcuffed and you're going to get charged with assault.
Summons, sure, absolutely.
So we do that. But Billy, so how about, because we're, it's over.
I
it's over now.
got a question for you, Doc.
Yeah.
And this, you can probably answer this in your own way as well, Catch. But so, what was your rookie year?
1966.
1966. This summer will be 2023. It'll be your 57th summer.
That's correct.
And in that whole time, you went to med school. You have your own practice.
I went to dental school, med school.
You did, I'm sure, like clinical practice for all that. What?
I was the first guy that they ever let work part-time.
Okay.
I was a resident up at
So-
Hackensack Medical Center. They let me work on weekends.
On the beach part.
On the
time.
And that's what allowed you to stay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I started. That's how I got. John Boyd was, very, very nice to me. And Said, if you want to still stay, if you want to work he goes, they actually use me to give a guys a day off. Like if I would come in Saturday, Sunday, that they would.
That's when we started days off, by the way.
And what
Yeah,
kept
at
you
the
coming
beginning.
back?
Because I like it. I love it. It's been my life.
Yeah.
I spent 3/4 of my life on the beach. I mean, plenty of people, tell you, grow up, get big, do this, go there, don't that, don't you want to do something else? No, if I did, I would, I mean,
And you ask him that. I don't remember all the times, but I could just remember many times, generally, that Billy and I were on the beach. There's shit hitting the fan, rescues, we're running around, boat rescue, whatever.
well, sure.
And just,
Heart
because we worked,
attacks, rescues going.
Yeah.
Where would you want to be on a Saturday or Sunday in the middle of the summer when, like Mike said, when the shit hits the fan? Then, I mean, if you're looking for excitement, if you're looking for a rush, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's it, man. And on top of that, you're saving somebody's life. I mean, where does it get any better than that?
At what point did you realize, like, yeah, I'm going to do this for as long as I possibly can?
I was about in my mid-30s, I think, and I was on a North End, and I, asked for a little divine intervention on this, and said, I mean, if you can work it out, I'd like to stay, and here I am, So, and I've seen a lot of guys come, a lot of guys go, made some great, great friends that, that's the other thing here, the networking, and I'm sure you guys, younger guys, you've met a couple of guys that you'll bond it up, you'll know each other till the day you die.
Yeah.
I mean, you just do. I mean, I still treat some of the older guys that used to work on the beach in my practice, so, it's just a very unique place to work. I think it's a great,
it's a unique club.
Very unique, a very good,
Unique
like
club,
a
yeah.
brotherhood, what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think you can just spread that out to any guy who's worked as an ocean lifeguard. I mean, the pool guys are great and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, ocean lifeguarding, as John Boyd said, if you can work in Seaside, you can work anywhere. And that's the truth, but I mean, it's a very unique situation, and it's 10 weeks out of the year, I mean, all winter long, we talk about how many more weeks or months we have to go
Yeah.
and we get back to the beach, don't we?
And it never fades.
It never fades.
Well, actually, now we're doing
That's
more than
good news.
we're doing more than 10 weeks, right? We're
Oh, yeah, no,
made it,
yeah.
We're Memorial Day over there.
May to October now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now there's a big push, Billy, for we've been doing it for a while, but off-season coverage. A lot of these beaches may be persuaded, or I don't want to say forced, but congealed into doing longer off-season, and also the coverage
Oh,
at
man.
night. Yeah.
I mean, I could see us.
Where do I send my
again,
application?
just speculation. I mean, you could see, depending again on the weather. I mean, and the fall now we've had warm weather almost till January now. I mean, I could see keeping a couple guys on October.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, at least September, solid September.
Well, we're always on September, but I mean, even some,
Yeah.
October weekend to weekend, because the biggest thing that we have too is we have a lot of great equipment. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a lot of those, the ATVs and mules and all that. It makes a big difference.
Well, you make a good point, because now it is getting warmer and September's, but I think that I remember with John Boyd, we used to work until October.
Yeah, but look at the last couple of years, even in some early May, it was like 95 degrees one weekend
Yeah.
in May. Remember, and the beach was mobbed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
you just have to have lifeguards, available if you need them. You just don't know. It's only going to take one person, and boom, what's one life worth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm sorry.
We got to wrap it up here, Doctor.
Yeah, I think that's about it. We've been going over an hour. Time flies. Well, Billy, thank you for coming.
Well,
Really,
thank you for guys
you know,
for having me on. I appreciate it.
we're trying to have this. We've had some really good guests, and you're definitely up there. I like the idea that you're still working and you love it. We all are passionate about it. Obviously, that we wouldn't be here if we weren't. And I think these stories that you give us, the young people who listen to this or going to listen to this, hear things that they have no idea about. So, and that's a good thing.
I have a goal, actually. I think John Boyd, I might be wrong, but I think he was on the beach for 62 years. I think that's how long he was. Okay. I mean, I would like to
beat him.
At least match.
I don't
it.
know about beat him. I'd like to match him.
Do you think
I
beating
mean-
it would be a little disrespectful?
I'd be hard pressed to do
Yeah.
that. Yes. I mean, and by that time I might might not even be here. You know.
So talk about, John Boyd, he was working. How old, when did he retire? He was 80. What was he? You remember?
In his
80?
80s. I don't remember.
So
exactly.
I would say, I want to say like 85, 86. He had to be up there. And I remember he was in his 80s, again, maybe 84, 85. And it was in September and maybe even the beginning of October. And I was up there with another lifeguard, Sam Britton. So it was the South End. And we were just sitting at the headquarters. We had a lifeguard stand or a box on the beach. I think that's all we had. And these two kids got in trouble. And so I took off. And you remember now, it's John Boyd, who's like probably 84, 85. And he wore glasses, right? And Sam Britton. So I go down, and you're not thinking, I'm making a rescue. I say, get the two guys. Sam comes out with the rope, and I don't remember exactly, but we're getting pulled in, and Sam's like, "Look who's pulling us in," and it's John Boyd,
Yeah.
and in his 80s. And what was interesting, though, it was the first time I saw him without his glasses on, because I guess he took them off. He didn't want to get them, lost in the surf. So he was still making rescues or participating.
He was a tremendous guy. He was really someone I wish that a lot of our kids could have had the experience of knowing. He really was.
Yeah. He was
really
amazing.
was a legend. He
I
really
like
was.
Junie too. Junie
was a great guy too. They both were terrific. So was Joe. They were all just great men. They were men you could look up to. They were men's men. I mean, they were guys. They were,
I remember one of the banquets we had, and I'll always remember it for the rest of my life. And we had an exceptionally bad summer. A lot of rescues and a lot of, just tough. It was hot. It was just a tough summer. And John made his speech, at the end of the banquet. And he goes, he was he was a military, he was in the Navy. And he goes, I don't say this, I've never said this, but if I had to take a hill,
I remember that.
you guys, this group of guys here, you typify like one of the best beach patrol groups I ever had. He goes, I'd take you right up that hill.
If I ever had to go into battle, he goes,
Yes.
I'd take everyone here that's with me. You guys.
And that's how tough we were.
Excuse my language, but that's fucking powerful.
Really, I mean, I got to tell you, that just brings goosebumps to me. I remember him doing that. I mean, that was really just, a real moment.
You, Doc, because like you talk about, we have John Boyd, we have Junie Boyd. Well, we talk about you like that. We have Doc Ditchkus, and I'm sure you have an idea of the aura that surrounds your name on our beach. But you gave a very similar speech at my very first banquet that every time I think about it just gives me chills. And you just got up there and you just talked about the pride you feel when you look at us and you see how confident and grown this job makes us.
I do. I mean, I've always said, even when I speak at the banquets, that, the beach patrol isn't really the guys that are up in the headquarters. It's the beach patrol, the guys that are on the beach, and like I said, I'm very proud of everybody on the bad days. If I had to depend on, 20 guys or whatever it was, you guys would be the guys, it's just a tradition. It's just something that, like I said earlier in the program, it's a brotherhood.
Right. We're trying to teach you guys.
And you know what, Doc, I think one of the main, if not the main reasons that everyone on our beach does respect you so much is because I know that no matter what the conditions are, and no matter what's going on, if I go in that water and you need to follow me, you will.
I'll go. Absolutely. I've said that to everybody. So if I can't make it, when I can't make a rescue, I'll hang it up. That's why I swim all winter, try to do what I can, and I mean, you got to lead by example. That's how those guys were. I mean, that's how,
Right.
Junie was, and John and Joe, I mean, you can't tell somebody to do something if you can't do it. It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't lose, you lose respect doing that, and that's what the whole job is all about, So.
Yeah. And we love, Billy and I, we talk about this. Not only, we save lives, but the other thing is guys like you kids come in 16, 17, 18, and we watch the ones that stay for a while.
Sure.
We watch you mature, you guys and girls, and we watch you guys become really good lifeguards and also good men and women. You learn a lot. And even though you may not, some of us rubs off on you guys, and we're the old school. We try to have, like, right here. This is the key right here. We talk about tradition, professionalism, and excellence.
Well,
And
Follow
you know,
your dream. I always tell everybody at
Yeah.
the banquet, never take no for an answer. I mean, you know, if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me you can't do this, you're not going to get that, you're not going to go, you know, forget it. You know, see what you want, go get it. And
Right.
every one of the people that work on that beach, I you know, have a lot of faith and confidence that they will. You know? So, all right, are we
let's
ready?
go. Yeah, let's go. So listen, Tyler, thank you very much. Sean, thank you very much.
No problem.
Billy, thank you for coming again.
Doc,
I hope
I-
you're we're always more than welcome to come
Yeah,
here.
we have not even
When-
scratched the surface. We
I'll
be
gotta
back
get you back in
Right,
here.
right. So listen,
Hey.
Sean, you're going to take us out. So listen, everybody, just before we go, make sure if you guys want to get a hold of us, podcast or on the YouTube, it's Sean will put it up. It's drkachmar@comcast.net. We'll excuse me.
I feel like this is-
Keep on
this-
doing it. drkachmar@icloud.com.
It
Put
changes
up
every week, people.
I
You
know.
gotta-
I
you
know. I
gotta
got
stay
so
up to
many
date.
emails. You know, I got it with the scrubbing up. And then we have the Jersey Shorefront Lake Center. You guys can look at us there. Listen, we're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. So, you know, we're out
Amazon,
We're on-
Google.
You can
We're on
find
Twitch.
Find us. Yeah.
We are
oh,
on
yeah,
Twitch. Yeah. We're
So,
right next
but
to
we're
the
not
girl
licking,
sucking
but we're
on the
not,
microphone.
we're not licking any microphones. So,
we're on
Hey,
Twitch.
if I
So-
find that girl, then our video will be under
Good to
hers.
know.
so listen, how about sending us out?
The intro for the outro. Doc,
yeah.
how do we close out every day on the
Oh,
beach?
yes. You got to say this.
Not the whole thing, just
What's
the
the
last
At the
part.
end, what does Rob, what do we say at the end? What does Rob kind of,
Oh, but God bless
No,
America.
before-
Before that
before
part.
that, stay out.
Stay out and stay alive. Stay out and
Stay alive.
Have you ever got to do that announcement?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar,
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Sean.
and this is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar, the Jersey Shore #1 lifeguard themed video podcast.
Watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook Live. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever streaming service you prefer.
If you would like to contact us, send an email to drkachmar@icloud.com.